All right, I think we're good now. I know we said we weren't going to talk about it, but finally, for what, the fourth time?
Yes.
We sit down to record episode 1, and I think that we are going to be fully operational. We've had lights turn out on us. We've had cameras shut off. We've had microphones completely stop working and have to go buy brand new microphones.
That sucked 2 nights ago.
So, finally, we're here. Welcome to episode 1 of Humans Anonymous. My name is Landon Ballard.
I am Amaria Ballard.
And we are very, very excited to be launching this podcast, this YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it, this social media entity. We hope to live kind of everywhere on your social medias, Instagram, TikTok, and obviously YouTube is where we'll be posting like our podcasts every week, or as we do them. I don't know for sure if it'll be every week, but yeah, we're very excited to be able to start this up and to launch this. Humans Anonymous. Let's talk about it. Why are we doing this? What is this? Why do we need a podcast? And to be honest with you, it's because we have so much time and we just don't know what to do with it, huh? We're just loaded with time. No.
Yeah.
Me and Amaria, we are parents. We both work. And we are very passionate about helping people. And so those things tend to kind of butt heads a lot. I never have enough time to do anything. So this isn't something that we're just doing for fun. This is kind of something that we're doing with a purpose, right?
Yes, it's actually 9:30 at night. Both of our kids are asleep, and we're doing this in our basement.
Yeah, after work hours.
Yes.
So this isn't completely just for fun, although it is definitely a passion of ours. For the last over the last decade, I've been working with an organization called MWAH. That's MWAH. It stands for Messages Which Are Hopeful. And to make a very, very long story short, I'm sure you guys will hear plenty more about them in the future, but they're a performing arts group that used to go to middle schools and high schools and put on presentations, put on shows, dance routines, but it all had this hopeful message. They always talked about something hopeful, whether it was getting through bullying or dealing with your parents' divorce or dealing with just somebody that doesn't care for you. There was always a point and there was always a purpose behind it. And so now for the past 2 years, post-COVID, there hasn't been the full-fledged troupe. Me and Amaria have had the amazing opportunity to go around to a bunch of different high schools and middle schools all over Illinois, some into Iowa, up into Wisconsin, and tell our own stories of hope and of perseverance and fighting through whatever it is you're going through. And so that's kind of the idea with this, is to kind of create a group here. I'm personally in drug and alcohol recovery and have been in and out of drug and alcohol recovery for a long, long time. And as I get older, as time goes on, I realize that we're all kind of recovering from something, whether it's drugs and alcohol, whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's PTSD, bipolar, depression, anxiety, ADHD, ADD. The list goes on and on and on. Everything that happens to us, there is a recovery process to that. And so we're hoping to kind of build a community of not just addicts or alcoholics or people who got their heart broke, but anybody and anyone to talk about anything. It's kind of the idea. And so that's why we've gone with the name Humans Anonymous. We're hoping that one of the biggest things that we talk about when we go to schools is telling your story, because we believe that everybody has a unique story. We believe that you have a unique story and somebody out there needs to hear it to get through what they're going through.
Yes, absolutely.
Because your struggles are not unique. Nothing that you've ever gone through or will go through is anything that somebody hasn't already done. Every struggle that we face, every troubled time that we go through, somebody's already been through something at least very, very similar and made it out the other side. And so one of the big things we talk about is telling your story, and you guys are going to hear us say that over and 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 over again on this, because that's our biggest thing. If we get enough people telling our stories, then that not only will build the perseverance in us to keep that story going in a positive direction, but hopefully if we do this, all right, we got cats in the mix. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
The hope is that if we do this long enough, and if try that again. Our hope is that if we do this long enough, maybe even just one person will hear something that inspires them to tell their story or inspires them to take that step to get help that they were needing. Because that's a big part of it too, is reaching out for that help. You can't hear what somebody's trying to tell you or their experience with it if you don't reach out for that help. So do you want to kind of just talk about your involvement with not just the troop, but kind of just the passion that I've been talking about for the past couple minutes?
Yeah. So, like Landon said, he's actually a person who has, lived the life of being an addict. So my passion really comes from being a child who grew up with addicts. When I first heard about the opportunity to be able to talk to children who are now my age, who are now the age that I was when I started realizing that things in my family were not okay, it was a really great feeling to know that I could actually go and talk to people or children or, students, telling them that I personally have been through this and I didn't have the help that I needed to get through all of it. And to be able to go and tell them my story and tell them like they're not alone, it feels really, really great to be able to do that. I feel very grateful for it. I guess that's why it makes me so passionate about it.
One of the biggest things that we hear when we go to schools is, and this is something everybody deals with, that feeling of, I feel alone and I feel like nobody understands where I'm at or gets where I'm at. And you're a great example of, you don't have to be going through the shit yourself to be in it.
Exactly.
To be living around it and be directly affected by it. And so it started off just as me kind of doing these presentations, and now I have the opportunity to work with you and do them. And it's just, I love how we can show that it definitely affects the person who it's happening to.
And we get to tell it from different points of view.
Also, like, exactly from your point of view, that it's not just the person who's doing it that's affected.
Right.
Obviously, and we'll talk about kind of a lot of your history as we get into this, but it affects everybody. It affects the whole family. And
yes.
So that's kind of the pushing drive behind what we're doing. And so, to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter if we get any views or listens or not, because the whole idea is just to put something positive out there. The social media is so flooded right now with so much content. And not a lot of it is negative content, but a lot of it is just filler. A lot of it is just fluff. And so we want to put something out that we feel is positivity into the world. So we're looking forward to being able to do that with this. So unless you have anything else, I say we just jump right into it. From episode to episode, we'll be picking kind of a topic to discuss. However, for this episode, we just kind of want to get to know Miss Amaria. I'd like to get to know you because I don't know you at all.
Really?
So I've actually got some questions here. Like we talked about, you had a very different upbringing. You had a different childhood than I did. I had 7 brothers and sisters, biological brothers and sisters, the same parents my entire life. I feel very blessed to have had parents that were together and stayed together my entire life. You grew up in a very different environment. A lot of family in and out of jail from the time you were born. A lot of family in and out of drug rehab or in and out of the process of just being in addiction.
Yes.
And so I kind of want to talk about your childhood, and we'll get into some of that grittier stuff maybe in a later episode.
Yeah.
But I do want to kind of talk about your childhood a little bit. Okay, let's take it back to 2000.
Okay.
All right, when you were first born.
Okay.
Was your dad around?
No, he wasn't.
Your biological dad wasn't?
No.
So if I'm remembering correctly, and I know that I am, your uncle, Chet,
Yes.
pretty much raised you for most of your childhood. That was your mom's brother, and he kind of took you in as his own right when he got out of jail, which was shortly after you were born, correct?
Yes. Yes. It was actually 2 weeks after I was born. He, he came home from jail and immediately just took me on as his own. So, but as far as my biological dad, I don't know where he was or I don't even know if he was in jail at that moment. He just wasn't around.
Okay. Gotcha. And so, did you call him dad then? Chet, your uncle?
I called him Uncle Daddy,
Uncle Daddy.
but he was my dad.
Okay.
So-
he acted like your dad. He
Oh,
did
yes.
dad things.
Yes.
Gotcha. So what were like some of the things that he would do with you as a kid? I know I've heard. Do you want to talk about the ninjas?
Well,
I've
that's
heard ninja stories with you and your siblings, right?
Yes. Okay. But just for a while, it was just me. I was the only child born. I was the first daughter, first granddaughter, stuff like that. Well, in our family in Rockford. So, he actually like used to do my hair. He used to do my hair every day.
Could he braid hair?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He
Because
can-
see, I'm like one of the few men that I know that can braid hair,
Yeah.
but I had
He used to curl my hair.
yeah, I had younger sisters and stuff, and so I
Yes.
mean, it's going to be a huge benefit now that I'm a father. But
Yes.
yeah. So he was a hair braider.
Oh yeah. He
Excellent.
would he'd make me dinner, breakfast, he took me trick or treating all the time and we'd always go as duos. Like I remember one year, we dressed up as the Thing from the Fantastic.
You both did?
Yes.
I thought you meant duos like Batman and Robin or like
Oh,
Shaggy and Scooby. You mean
okay.
you both dressed up as the
It's
same?
the same
Okay,
thing.
okay,
Yeah,
that's cute,
sorry
though.
about that.
No, that's cute.
But yeah, during like my early childhood years, everything was great. We used to go on trips to Kentucky.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
So I kind of know, obviously, a lot about your childhood. When you were young, like at this point, did you feel like life was normal? Did you feel like
Oh, yes.
Because I know I've talked to you and like I always thought growing up with 7 siblings in just a chaotic house with your parents not really 100% watching you all the time, or dad just being gone all the time, he would go on long cruises. I thought that it was normal just because that was my life.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of curious. I know that once we get into it, and I'm sure down the road, further episodes, people kind of learn more about your growing up, and it was the farthest thing from, I would say, healthy. But
Yeah.
that's the thing is like we take this concept of normal and we label it on certain things, and so I've come to this
Right.
realization of nobody really had a normal childhood. Nobody
No,
really had
yeah.
anything normal. It was just different than anybody else's.
Right.
But like some people like realize that a little earlier on that like, oh, we're not normal and nobody's normal, But I know for me it took a while. So at that point for you still felt like
Oh yeah.
life was normal.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody else that I knew, had like single moms and with other family members helping out. It was just the area that we were in. It was
Yeah.
projects,
Yeah.
But like later on, like in my mid childhood years, like between 9, 10, 11, we used to do some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
Crazy like illegal?
sometimes, yes.
Like what illegal thing? I don't even know if we can post this out there, but we're going to anyway. What kind of
Well,
illegal things
I'm
would
gonna
you have children do?
You'd have a steal.
Oh wait, I was gonna say, let me guess. Were you getting? Would he send you on missions into the store or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Like to steal a cake batter or a honey bun.
And then it's like hard not to as a kid because you're like, I want the cake
Well,
too. And when Uncle Daddy's telling you go for it, you
Right.
know?
But no, he used to have us do like crazy adventures, like the ninjas. We would go out in the middle
I remember
of the
the
night.
ninja stories, and your sister Jasmine as well. Was she one of the
Sometimes,
ninjas?
sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes she was, but mostly it was me and my cousin Isabella.
Bella, that's right.
Yes. But no, we would go out like in the middle of the night dressed in all black and like attack crackheads.
Like you'd attack them?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to real quick just go over? Chet was not clean at this time.
Oh
Was he?
no, he was not.
And shout out Chet, we love you, man. He's been doing amazing since he's been out.
Yes.
The most recently, and we're real proud of him. But obviously, this is
This
a
is
long time ago.
over 10 years
And so I
ago.
kind of wanted to give that background. They weren't just running around, fighting crackheads in ninja suits sober.
And
I mean, you were sober as a child.
Oh yeah, I was a
but,
kid.
But at the time, he was using what, crack or
I'm not entirely sure if
Okay.
it was crack or cocaine or
something
heroin.
intense, though.
Yeah, something intense.
Well, I can tell you from experience, he wasn't doing heroin. He wasn't running around chasing crackheads in the middle of the night off heroin.
Well, to
But-
me it was fun. I mean, but that was normal for me, you know?
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is we get so deep into things, and when you're surrounded by it, it's just normal, right?
Yeah, and I mean, watching him beat up people, like get into fights very easily and literally smashing somebody's face into a curb was normal for me. He was a very, he wasn't, he had no fear in his body, if that made sense.
Well, and like a lot of the family members around him and around you at the time, they had basically formed or joined? Formed?
Joined.
Joined
I believe.
a gang within the Rockford area.
Yeah.
A very small gang, but it was still serious enough that they were trying to get into trouble. And
Right.
so there was that element of just his life to it, too, that
Right.
edginess, that tough guy persona.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you know, growing up was just really weird for me, especially living with Chester for majority of it. He also had a wife. Not all of it was good. I mean, they used to get into really bad fights that I one time watched Chester elbow the front windshield of their car and break the whole thing.
Did he break his elbow?
No.
Dang, dude.
I
can just feel my elbow break. I've got soft bones though.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, I mean no harm by talking about this stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all.
It's just, you know, I remember it.
It's part of your childhood. That's the thing.
It's a part of me.
Yeah, and as much as you know, pretty much everybody in your family has.
You know, their
fights.
Their fights used to get so gruesome. You know, sometimes he would just jump out of the car when we were driving because they were fighting. It was crazy. It was scary. It was very scary for me as a child. I remember crying a lot of the time because of how scared I was. And not even just because they were yelling. I was just scared that something bad was going to happen. You know, like the police were going to get called. That was one of my worst fears. I remember one time we were actually parked in a parking spot, and him and Michelle got into a fight, and a police officer pulled up on his bicycle and asked if everything was okay.
On his bicycle.
but
that
you know,
is so Rockford.
But you know, it was always just like, it was just scary most of the time.
So at what point did you, I guess, start to realize that that wasn't maybe
13.
not even normal, but like it wasn't
13.
healthy the way that you? Oh, 13?
Yes.
Gotcha.
13. I started making friends in school, so it wasn't just my
that
family.
Had a little bit more.
Yeah, it wasn't just my cousins that were coming
that were
over
just
anymore.
a little bit more together.
And
I don't even want to use the word normal.
Well,
because like I said, nothing's normal. But like you see those things and you're like, oh, this is how a healthy relationship between a mom and dad is. This is how healthy relationships between siblings are. And then you start to realize, okay, they're not the same.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I started having friends coming over to the house, and I would get so embarrassed.
Gotcha.
I'd get so embarrassed about like how Chester and Michelle were, or how the house looked. Even though they kept the house pretty clean, I was still just really nervous. You know, I was nervous on how somebody was going to react.
As a kid, you're always worried about impressions.
Yeah.
And like what your friends are going to think. And like, I remember one time, I'll tell you a quick story here. One time I went to I went to Hallstrom Homeschool Co-op growing up, and it was like a place where you would go once or twice a week, and they'd give you classes, and they would send you home with homework for the whole week. So they'd call it homeschooling, but it wasn't really homeschooling because you were going to school for like a full day.
Yeah.
Anyway, they would from time to time do dress down days, and they would like sometimes pick a theme for them. Like once a month, they would do like 80s theme, or they would do denim, and everybody would come in like jean jacket. Anyway, one week they were doing pirate theme.
I know this story.
And I've told you this?
Yes.
Okay, well I'll tell it anyways.
Okay.
I was really excited because my mom had just bought me and my brother these like head to toe Jack Sparrow outfits with the dreads and the bandana and the jacket. It even had like these little covers over the shoes that made them look like boots. Anyways, I was really excited, and so I got in my costume the morning of school. We went off to school, and I stepped in the building, and I realized it was the wrong day. It wasn't dress down day. It was just normal day.
Uniform day?
Yeah.
Oh, babe.
And I walked in, and I remember walking right back out. I went to the car. I pleaded with my mom, like, please don't make me go in there. Please do. And I remember crying and just being torn up about it because I thought, well, people are going to think I'm stupid.
Oh.
People are going to laugh at me. People are going to whatever. And it, like, hurt so bad. And luckily, my dad ended up bringing a change of clothes for us at lunch. But I had to go through the first couple periods.
Right.
Sitting, like, taking notes in geography with Jack Sparrow head to toe and a little tear rolling down my eye. Like, and now as an adult, though, that's the funny thing. As an adult, if I made that mistake right now, I'd be like, I'm a pirate the rest of the day.
Right.
Arg, bitches. Like, that's how it would be.
Dude.
But as a child, you're still looking for that little bit of acceptance,
Right.
approval. And so even something that minor is, it's next week.
Right.
And that was the other part of the story. I didn't even wear the costume the next week
Right.
because
I
was
remember
so
you telling me that.
torn up about
Yeah.
it. I was so torn up about it. But that just, when you're young, you don't realize that none of that stuff matters. And some people don't even realize that when they're old. And so it's a unique place when you can find yourself in that position where you're like, oh, what people think doesn't matter.
Right.
And I struggle with that still, you know.
I struggle with it too. But like back to Chester, I have a couple stories that actually are
Hit me
about.
with one.
Okay.
Because then I want to talk about some other stuff.
I mean, it was like an occasional thing. Chester loves a garden.
So this is something that would happen like regularly?
Oh yes.
Okay.
He would go outside in his underwear that had holes in them, with no shoes on, and a Dago tee, and just walk around.
Now for
like
the youngins out there, what's a Dago tee?
It could be different colors, but usually it's a white shirt that has no arms, like no sleeves, and it just
Wife beater, tank.
yeah, like a tank top for men.
But yeah.
Yeah. Imagine my friends coming over and they come in the house. It was embarrassing.
I was about to make a Star Wars reference.
It was very embarrassing.
But you don't know.
I don't know Star Wars.
Okay, so in Star Wars, there's this chef in one of the kitchens, and he wears like a wife beater, and it's got like stains under the boobs, and like it's just a real big alien dude. Is that like almost how you like it? Just looked like nasty, and, or was it at least clean? Did he look like together?
Some of them were clean. Some of them had like cigarette holes in them.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
But you know, that was like his signature look because eventually my friends got used to it. You know,
well, yeah,
people. I would go to school.
Eventually, it was probably just up.
Some days when I come to
Chet.
school, they'd be like, "Hey, Amari, I saw your dad at the gas station. He was in his underwear." I was like, "Yeah, that's my dad."
Cute.
So.
That's cute though. But see, that's the funny thing.
You know,
he got to an age where
he didn't care.
He didn't care what
He did
people
not
thought
care.
anymore.
No.
So I kind of wanted we want to keep talking about when you were young.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to switch gears and kind of just talk about something fun. Do you remember any specific? Well, we'll do this in two parts.
Okay.
What kind of music or what music specifically kind of shaped your childhood?
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. All right, we're gonna skip that next.
AC/DC.
All right, talk about that.
Well, from like
Who introduced you?
Chester.
Okay.
Chester introduced me to a lot of my music.
Do you remember where you were when you heard them for the first time?
In the car somewhere around 2005.
Okay.
Maybe.
So you were just a few years old, 4 or 5 years old?
Yeah, very young. You know,
I don't think I remember anything from like before I was 6.
And
My
he wore a
brain is
lot
so
of band
shot.
t-shirts.
Oh, he wore band
Oh, and
t-shirts?
Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy.
I loved, you know, he hooked me up. I'm not even gonna lie to you. The same with movies, you know, he was just Sharon. I can't find my beers. Who drank my beers? You did, Ozzy.
The legend himself.
No, but
You know, you kind of look like Ozzy.
good. No, I want to go back to the Lady Gaga thing. Chester,
Do you?
Chester.
Because I have something else I want to ask you
Well,
about.
listen,
Okay, Lady Gaga.
Chester was in the Lady Gaga.
Okay.
That was his number one.
That adds up though.
Yeah.
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 Talk to me about Tupac.
Tupac Shakur.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Because
Chester.
I listened to a lot of Tupac growing up, and then dating you resurged that.
Yeah.
And I just a couple months ago, I listened to Tupac for like 2 weeks straight.
Right.
And so I kind of wanted you to talk about maybe talk about Charlie and Tupac.
Yeah, Chester didn't.
Charlie's Tupac's like little cousin, right?
No, that's his son. What you talking about? No. Chester didn't introduce me to Tupac. It was my my Uncle Charlie. My Uncle Charlie is kind of like my Uncle Chester. He's just more gangster about it.
Well, and he's I would say he doesn't do as much
He keeps on the
talking.
low. Yeah, he's
talking like with his body or with his
Yeah,
mouth. He's just
he's-
very low key.
yeah, he's a very
Last
low
time
key
I
man.
saw him was his daughter's graduation, and I went up and I
Charlie's
just said hello
well,
to
he's
him,
been
and I
through
talked
some
to him,
stuff.
and he looked at me and he said one or two things, but it was like, you there, buddy?
Well, Charlie's been going through a lot this past year.
That's true.
You know, so I'm
But I mean, ever since
I'm
I've known the
surprised
dude,
he's even making
ever since
appearances.
I've known the dude, he's just like that tall,
I know.
quiet,
Well,
but at the same time, he commands the whole room.
right. I mean, so like.
So
from,
I'm just trying to kind of show who he is a little bit.
Yeah.
To kind of, because you were just a little tiny girl at the time.
Yeah, I
And he was
maybe 9.
he was riding around.
In his
if I remember the
Suburban.
story right, in his Suburban, every payday you'd go either get a new Tupac CD if you could find one, or you'd bump a Tupac CD
Yeah.
and kind of just
Yeah.
chill, right?
Yeah. He like.
And so that it's
Me and him
always
were, like,
always
best friends.
heartwarming to me. That
Yeah,
he
we were
did
like
that, you
best
know?
friends. He'd be like, "Amari, I got this new Tupac CD. I need you to listen to this song." And then he'd turn the song up. He'd turn it down. He'd be like, "Did you hear that? No, I
Yeah.
gotta rewind the whole thing. We gotta listen to this again. You gotta listen."
And now
Amari."
Charlie and Chet are brothers, right?
Basically, their moms
Their
were
moms
sisters.
are sisters and their
The
dads
dads
are
were brothers.
right?
So they have the same blood. There's no difference. But they are cousins, but they might as well be brothers.
Right.
So, but yeah, like my mom, Charlie, all his
was gonna say,
siblings,
and your mom.
they've all been very close since they were children, like
Yeah.
siblings. So,
Well, and
so,
that's
yeah.
how a lot of your siblings are.
That's why I call him
It
Uncle
just grew up
Charlie,
that
because
way.
he's more of an uncle than he would be a cousin. You get what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I know that's like really weird and confusing for some people, but just go with it.
Right.
But yeah, Tupac was a very big thing in my childhood.
Well, your last name is Davison Niece Ballard, but one of your last names, your biological mother's last name was
Niece.
And I've always heard from all of them growing up that, or not growing up, but when they were growing up and when they were listening to Tupac, the song Thug's Mansion was like the Niece theme.
Was the Niece theme.
Yeah.
Yes, that song is for all of us.
Yeah.
All of us.
And so I know that he was kind of a centerpiece in the family.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny to say, but like we have our own. Like in my family, there were certain artists or bands that were like they played roles almost in our lives,
Yeah.
and so I kind of wanted to touch on that. I also wanted to ask. I know that you are a big movie buff, right? I personally didn't get into like watching old movies until me and you started dating.
Yeah.
And you put me on to a lot of like just bangers, a lot of really good old movies. One of my favorites, and I don't want to talk about it right now. We'll talk about it at a different episode, but Nothing But Trouble with Chevy Chase.
And Dan Aykroyd.
Yes,
and
sir.
Demi Moore.
And John Candy.
Oh gosh.
Yes, if you've seen Nothing But Trouble, hit me up and let's talk about it.
Oh my gosh.
But I guarantee you probably have not seen it. But I got
Very
into
raunchy.
old movies with you, and so I just wanted to throw that out there because that's like one of the most bizarre. Like, if I could hit y'all with a recommendation, go watch it. Nothing But Trouble with Chevy Chase, John Candy, Demi Moore,
Dan Aykroyd.
and yeah. So do you want to talk to us about any like maybe specific movies that you remember being shown that was like a light went off in your head and you were like, this is because you're a big horror buff.
Oh
right?
yeah.
I know that you're a big Evil Dead fan. I know that you are a big Chucky fan. So do you want to talk to us
definitely.
about like where does all of that come from? Where does that horror movie?
If you want me to be honest.
You know, because you're so exhilarated.
It
by
comes
it. We
from
have,
Chester.
Hold on, real quick. We have a Chucky. I'll bring it out next episode and we'll talk about it.
I have a
But
good
we
guy
have
doll.
like a good guy doll, the
original good guy doll.
life size Chucky in our house.
Yes.
And when your little brother Jay used to come over and spend the night. He would turn it around so that it would face the wall so I couldn't look at him.
B liked it.
But let's talk about that. Let's talk about Chucky or Evil Dead or however. Where did that start?
Like my horror, like the horror side of me, the horror gene, came from Chester. He used to, he would get in a lot of trouble with my mom because he would actually take me to Friday night movie night at the theater, and we would go see scary movies, and he would tell me not to tell my mom. But I always would.
Well,
but
he's just trying to do what a good uncle does, dude.
I know, but
what a good uncle
I'm 4
daddy
years
does,
old.
man.
I'm 4 years old going to see No Evil, which is about this guy in a motel who kills people.
Yeah.
Like, I had nightmares from that. I remember. But no, I mean, just growing up in the house, we didn't have streaming services, nor did we have cable. So we would have to go to like secondhand stores or like to the movie store, like Family Video, and rent movies. And he would always just be like, "Princess, I got a movie for us to watch." And it would be like a horror movie, just a new horror movie or a horror movie from his
right.
that he's already seen already. He's like, I want Amari to see this. And that's kind of what really got me into it. Like Scream. Oh, Scream is one of my top 5. Obviously, I've seen every Scream about a dozen times, at least between.
Well, you've
the first
seen him
one
at
and the
least a
third
dozen
one.
times just with me, so I know you've seen
Right,
him way more than that.
Right. Or all the Halloweens.
Yeah.
Or Freddy Krueger's. Those have just always been something that we would bond over. It was horror movies, which was something that made me feel very close to him. And even just the other movies, like he liked comedies, or like even when we would be watching a horror movie, he'd make it into a comedy, be like, "Oh, bitch, you better move," stuff like that. Or he's like, "Princess, she's dead. Like she's dumb for that," stuff like that. And we really bonded over it. So I mean, and I still love horror movies to this day. I like to see new ones. I even text him still and be like, "Hey, did you see this new horror movie?"
Right.
So, but no, yeah, like it's kind of generated me to just be that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well that kind of leads me to the last thing I wanted to ask you,
Okay.
and this one's kind of just for fun. Do you remember anything that you guys watched or listened to growing up that you and Chet both just like hated? That you were like, this movie sucks, or like this album sucks and we can never listen to or watch this again?
I can't exactly remember what movie this was, okay? But I was a little kid, and Chester put the movie on, but there was a lot of people in the room, right? And I remember the movie being really bad, which is really weird because I was very young. Mm-hmm. I was about 7 maybe, and as soon as the movie ended, I just went, fuck. Like, and everybody looked at me, and Chester was like, "Princess, why did you say that?" I was like, "The movie sucked." And he was like, "You literally just said everything. You just said what everybody was thinking." And I remember, like, I was like 7. I couldn't, like, even thinking about it now, I can't remember the movie, but I remember that feeling that I got when that movie ended.
You were like, this movie sucks.
That sucked. And I was
I'm
just
trying to remember if I can give a shout out to a movie that sucked. The Lighthouse.
I've never seen it.
Is
that what Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe?
Yeah.
I thought you told me that movie was good.
No. You're thinking of something that I would never have said that.
Okay.
That movie was weird.
Okay.
That movie made me uncomfortable. That movie.
Oh. The Walrus. Or Tusk.
Oh my
there we
goodness.
Go.
Tusk. That was a bad one. That was a movie about basically somebody who turned somebody into a walrus, right? Yeah, and the graphics it just looks
horrible.
Gross. It looks gross.
And then in the end, they just put
Anyway,
them in
shout out to all the sucky movies out there that
Yeah.
make the ones that we like them even more.
Yeah.
All right, so did you have anything else? I know that we're kind of coming up on our time here. Did you have anything specific that you kind of wanted to touch on that we maybe brought the topic up?
No, I think for now, I think we covered all of the questions that you had for me.
So, Uncle Daddy
Chester.
put you onto horror.
Oh, yeah.
And
Metal.
the rest was history.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate you answering the questions for us today. I know we normally will do like a topic. Normally, it won't be so much just about one of us.
Right.
I'm hoping maybe next time we'll do maybe a little Q&A for me.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Help you guys. We just want to help you guys get to know a little bit about us here at the beginning. I had real quick, I've been listening to Hugh Laurie
Uh-huh.
a lot.
Hugh Laurie
For you guys who have seen House, he's the doctor in House.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you just said everything I was going to say.
Oh, just that he was a doctor.
That he plays in a TV show called House.
Oh, okay.
That no longer is
So
on
for all
air.
of you out there that watch House, go look him up on iTunes. Go look him up on Spotify. He has a couple great albums. Anyway, I kind of wanted to play this because it's beautiful and it's pretty much on topic. We've got ghosts throwing cupboards wide open.
Okay.
Still, the world keeps moving on.
Still, the world keeps moving on. Still,
Yep.
the world keeps moving on. Against all odds, we made it through.
Oh, yeah.
We did it. Episode 1 in the books through all the through all the technical difficulties, through lights shutting off, through cats jumping on the table, through kids waking up. We did it. Episode 1 in the books. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys.
Oh
We're hoping that we can keep doing this. I think we'll be able to. Right?
Yeah.
If I can
hope
get
so.
words to come out of my mouth.
Right?
But no, we just want to thank anybody who might be listening. And then a quick shout out. Big thanks to Ray Moffitt, Brian Bartos, Aaron West. Is that everybody? Judy Randall.
Did you name Brian?
Yeah.
The other Brian? Is there...
The other Brian.
Yeah.
I forgot the other Brian's last name.
Oh.
And Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff Brown. Thank you to our team that's kind of been helping us build our presentations up that we've been doing from school to school, and they've been really encouraging and helpful in us launching this. And so a big shout out to them. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate anybody who listened to any of this even for a minute. Go ahead and check out in the link below. We'll have links to all our social media stuff. Amari, anything else?
I would like to give a shout out to Chester.
Big shout out to Uncle Daddy.
Thank you for all of the experiences in life. I mean, without you, I would not have these stories, even though...
Or any of the ninja skills. You should see the way that this woman can jump around and throw ninja stars. It's insane.
I mean, I know that everything wasn't always good, but hey, at least we got these times to remember, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you for being a part of this meeting of Humans Anonymous. Should I do a little outro?
Yeah, go ahead.